What's up? So I hope y'all are liking this series so far. Like I said when I first started it, if I need to improve, let me know. Because I really don't do true crime, but here it is. So, okay, so this is the case of Jessica Wanso and Mirna Salihin. And if I don't pronounce this right, please forgive me. No disrespect. But I did spell their names here. And basically these two were best friends who met in college while they were away at Sydney. And that was Sydney, Australia. And basically they were really cool, really tight knit until Mirna told Jessica to break up with a boy that she was dating while she was at school, or young man, or however you want to classify it. His name was Patrick O'Connor, and he was just not good for Jessica. He was into kicking it with street pharmacists and doing things to elevate himself in a negative way. And they just had a really toxic relationship. And Mirna was just trying to encourage her friend to not deal with that. Jessica did not take this in a good light, or whatever the case may be. So she basically went off on Mirna. And when they graduated, Mirna ended up going back to Indonesia. And she went there. Now, Jessica ended up staying in Sydney for like 7 years. While she was in Sydney, she had a rough time. She was dealing with mental illness. She was hospitalized several times. She had unalive attempts. She was just going through the fucking most. Now, while all this was happening, she was low-key blaming Mirna for all of her bad luck. Now, what really put the icing on the cake is she found out that Mirna got married and didn't fucking invite her. So, yeah, she was feeling some type of way for real. She felt like Mirna was just having this perfect life and she was going through hell, and all of this was her fault. So, Jessica basically made her way to Indonesia. And when she got there, she hit her up like, "Hey, friend, where have you been?" And she was like, "Yes, we should meet up." So that's just what they did. So on January 16th, 2016, Jessica convinced Mirna and two other people that they went to school with to go get coffee. However, one of the girls that was supposed to go with them, something came up and she just could not go. So cool. They were going to meet for coffee. Now, mind you, a couple of weeks prior to this, Mirna had just got married. So she's like, la 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 la. She's walking on cloud nine. So she's very optimistic about this. And she's cool with reconnecting with her friend. Like, right now, she's living her life like it's golden. Okay, now what ends up happening is Jessica ends up going to the place where they meet coffee. She goes, she does a little shopping. Then she gets to the coffee shop an hour and some change beforehand. And what she does is she orders everybody drinks. And what she does is she puts up the shopping bag to kind of block the view of the CCTV cameras. And she basically pours 3.75 milligrams of cyanide into Mirna's drink. Now, once she is done pouring the amounts of cyanide, which is past the lethal dose to unalive somebody, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning, she then removes the bags, the shopping bags off the table, and she pushes the drinks in this middle of the table. So when Mirna and the other young lady come up, they're, unbeknownst to them, they just grab their drink, sit down. Now, what ends up happening is Mirna ends up taking a sip of her drink and she like, ooh, this don't taste good. And her head goes back and she loses consciousness and she literally starts going into a seizure and foaming at the mouth. And she just drops. Everybody is freaking out except for Jessica. Jessica is just sitting there as calm as can be. And then she notices last minute, like, I got to do something. So what she does is she starts shouting out, the bartender did something to the drink. Well, the owner comes out in the midst of what's going on, and she grabs the cup that Mirna was drinking from, and she just decides to keep it for safekeeping in case something comes out of it, because she don't know what the fuck going on. And everybody found like Jessica acting really fucking weird. So she saves and she preserves the cup or whatever with the liquid. And when they get Mirna to the hospital, she had already passed in transit, and they had already determined that cyanide was in there. So basically, they come back to the coffee shop, they question the owner, and then they get the liquid and they test it, and they find out that it has been laced. The iced coffee has been laced with cyanide. So what they do is they go instantly pick up Jessica, and Jessica is just playing this shit like it's a fucking game. The whole trial, they didn't have enough evidence, but it was just the way that she was acting. The whole trial, she's laughing during the trial. She thinks everything is a game. He ha ha, smiling for the camera, this, that, and the third. But when it came down to it, she got 20 years in the Indonesian prison. So what's really sad is Mirna, all she did was try to help her friend out, and then her friend ended up blaming everything that went wrong in her life on her. She had no accountability, and it's really fucked up. And then she didn't feel bad at all for anything that she did to this woman. And the sad part is, Mirna had just got married like a couple of weeks prior to this incident. So that instantly made her husband a weirdo, and all of their plans that they made went down the drain. Let me know what y'all think about this case.